Hello, welcome to Automotive Vendor Spotlight. I'm here with Don Pelham from GDS, which stands for?
Global Dealer Solutions.
Yes, so we can't forget that. Well, I'm glad you're here. We usually jump right into this, and I just want you to act like you got stuck on an elevator with a dealer principal, and he says, "Oh, what does GDS do?" So give me 2 or 3 minutes of that.
Well, I can't say it without telling you a little bit of the story. You know, I came out of the auto industry and worked my way up from sales, got promoted to used cars. That was a big day at my house. Worked my way through the ranks and up to corporate general manager. And I always said I was going to continue to do that as long as it was fun. And public ownership wasn't as fun to me as it was some people, all the golden parachutes. And by the time it got through, I felt like I was going to have to pay them to come to work every day. But I saw all this stuff evolving around in the car business. And there was a time before I started GDS that I consulted for some vendors and providers, and I just was appalled as a dealer as to what I saw. You know, setup fees, long-term contracts, things that most dealers don't want. They needed somebody on their side. You know, I felt like from an ex-dealer position, and it just became about what if we just set out to help dealers find solutions to problems they have, and in some cases not know they have. So that was the beginning of Global Dealer Solutions, and it was a different approach, I will say that. We get that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I love having vendors on that I've used for years. What's funny about this, I named this Automotive Vendor Spotlight, and you've always gotten on to me when I use the word vendor. So tell me why I'm wrong for calling you a vendor.
Well, it wasn't that you're wrong. I just saw the animosity that dealers had.
Yes.
They come, tell them we're not here. They run into the back office, or they'll duck in over next door, and it was always this. But yet, there's not a lot of other ways to get to talk to dealers about the problems they're having. And as a result of that, as you can imagine, we get more referral-based sales than cold calling. We're more of a consultancy than a widget salesman. We got 10 of these to sell every month, and by God, they're going to sell them, or they're going to get run off from whoever they're selling for. And it was just a broken model. They needed real straight talk. Saying yes, a dealer saying yes to us is just the beginning of a long line of questions. You've heard them before. Okay,
yes.
You have anything that resembles this? Is there anything that could be a redundancy? A what? Like maybe you're paying for this somewhere else. I've walked into a dealership that had 2 or 3 in one case, SEO companies. Go figure that one out. There's a lot of stuff just because of the digital side of things that it's complicated. It's hard for me to keep up with. I mean, and I'm in the industry. So I think, we've become the dealer's friend, the go-to guy. The way we were set up was with a dealership in mind and what dealers want, which is when my hair's on fire, put out the fire, and then they can go back to selling or servicing cars. So that's where we found our niche, is just helping dealers make good decisions about which way to spend their money, making sure they're getting their money's worth, and being the watchdog that they've never had, because we have the experience from the dealership side to know what to look for and all those questions that we ask when the ad company leaves or the other vendor leaves or whatever it is. And that's out of no disrespect for vendors. Whatever you want to call yourself. Our goal has been to be that guy that manages, quote unquote, the vendors for the dealer, because they don't want to keep up with 15 or 20 numbers. You and I have talked about that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
One call.
That's what I love. I call you and you fix it. And I know you've done some, I guess it's just to dig into my expenses one time. I just gave you the sheet and said, look into this. And, you found some stuff that I was paying for a couple of years that I didn't even know I have. There's some other stuff that I asked you for, and you said it might not work. Let's not, you didn't even sell me something that I wanted. You were really looking out for my best interest. And I know you've come to my aid many times, and I want to get you a shirt that says printed on it, because when I call you or text you, that's what you say is on it, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. So I don't know if you have any competition, because I've never really met another vendor that does what you do. You're almost like a business manager or a Hollywood agent, I call you and then you just make the stuff happen. So that's one thing I've always liked about dealing with your company.
Well, there's something about being in the business as long as I have, that one of the funny stories that I remember is, had a dealer call me and said, are you my car offer rep? I said, well, heck no, they don't have independent reps. What do you need? He says, I need to talk to him. I said, all right, I'll have him call you. Well, how are you going to do that? Thought you didn't know who he was. I said, do you want to know how the baby's going to get born, or do you want to talk to the guy? I just want to talk to him. I said, hang tight. 5 minutes later, I had him on the phone with him. And that's what dealers want. They don't want a long wait time. They dang sure don't want a support address, which you remember when we rolled out ours. We had to give this long disclaimer, this isn't the blow-off email. Yeah. I may be in a meeting like this with another dealer, and you're trying to get a an answer on something or something fixed, you can sometimes send it to support and they'll have it done before I get out of the meeting. So that's been an option for some people. I said, send it to support and then call and yell at me. You can do that too. But, it's whatever the dealership works, and we try to, blend into their way of doing business.
Yeah, and I have lots of dealers because I know so many people, not as many as you do, but when they call and ask me, do you know a guy, you're the first name that pops up, and I give you them, and I know that I'm thanked a lot monthly for introducing you to them. So I believe in your business, and this isn't supposed to be a testimony for you from me, but I know it is. I can't help but say all the great things that you've done for me throughout my career, whether it was in service or general manager or parts departments or websites or coupons, you just got an answer for everything. And if you don't, you can turn me on to somebody that does. So
I know a guy.
Yeah, I know a guy. His name's Don Pelham. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. They're kind of the same 3 questions that I ask of everybody. The first one is, what specific dealership pain points do you fix, and how should a dealer principal measure your return on investment?
Well, as you can imagine, starting out, I had a lot more variable products because I'm a front-end guy, right? About, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago now, I think I told you, I'm throwing myself into this thing called fixed ops marketing because there's something you guys got going on back here that I missed along the way. And it is, should be the most profitable, department when done right. We've proven that at other stores together. And, you're always such a, you don't get any better than just going in and making things happen. And I've seen you do it time and time again. But, having those tools, those go-to products that you want are important if you know them. If you don't know them, you need somebody that you can rely on. So as you can imagine, front end, on-site conversion tools, and we spent all this money getting people to your website, and then we don't convert. That's a waste of money. Everything from speeding your website up so that you can, time kills deals online too. So we've got products that speed your website up. We've got products that help you convert, whether it be for sales or service, parts, body shop, things of that nature. Content that customers really want. Our video coupons, for example, are very educational for someone who doesn't know a lot about cars. We've talked about that before, but the fixed stop products, our friends at Justice Brothers, got to give a shout out to them. I think all snake oils are created equal. It's the people that are teaching the class that make the difference. And
for sure,
we both know the kind of job that we see them do. Our dealers see about $100 to $125 per RO on those kind of products when done properly. But even the ones that are getting started are seeing $50 to $75 a rattle, and all those incremental dollars while building value for your customers and showing them options to prolong the life of their car. You're a big tire guy. You can't come see your dealership without bringing 2 more cars in and getting 2 more sets of tires. But I think having those kinds of options available, and obviously it depends on what you're trying to fix. We do more than coupons and specialty chemicals and fix, but we've become very well rounded. Up to and including credit card services, GPS tracking devices, and things of that nature. But it does get a little bit out of control, as you can imagine. Sometimes we feel like the guy in the trench coat, like, hey, what do you want? And it's not because we're outselling that. It's just with 200 dealers, they all want something, and they all, in some cases, need something a little different. And that's where we come in. We don't just go for whatever's, on topic for the moment. We're looking deeper to see if this tool, if this product, if this service is going to work in your environment. It may just be the provider themselves. The personalities may clash. Big deal for a dealer. If you know your dealers, you know who they can get along with. So we do even that kind of matchmaking to make sure that we're doing the dealer a service and not an injustice.
Yeah, the one thing I really like about how many dealer principals or GMs don't speak service, and you speak both of those. So I know so many GMs that they just want a yes or no question because they don't understand the whole back thing. You do, and you can give them what they want. So I think that's one of the biggest pain points I see you fixed. The second question, if you had to, could you share some active dealer references who can verify the before and after performance metrics that you've achieved with some of your products? Well,
you can imagine, yes is the answer. We don't hit all 32 nameplates, but we get all the main ones, and that's we offer references. We don't give out numbers without getting permission first, so we are a little more protective just because no dealer wants everybody in the world ringing their cell phone. So yeah, we'll do that on via cell phone, set you up, make sure that you get connected. I'll even give you bad references. I mean, we're not perfect. We've lost customers, but some of those have come back too. So I had one that sent me a spreadsheet of like 3 time periods. I'm like, I think I know that time period there, and the other 2 were the 2 that came after us. And he said, well, would you consider taking us back? I said, I am a for-profit dealer, not a pro bono. We're coming. We're on the way. And, they'd gotten down to almost 50 cars, a month, and we got them back into the 3 digits. And,
wow.
Those are the kind of things that when we can see the lift, when we can see the noticeable deals, and those service customers, too, that are coming to the plate.
The third question is easy because I already know it, but it's how does your business integrate with dealerships, DMS, or CRM?
Well, as you can imagine, anything that produces a lead is going to push to a CRM, and we can do that across the board in an ADF, XML format, or just regular emails. DMS, for the most part, I'd say 95% of all the products integrate with all DMS. There's some new stuff coming out, as we've all seen recently, that they're still building integrations for, but depending on, who it is and what they're doing, those time periods can be, weeks to months. So I would say that's not an issue most of the time, but we're very transparent in making sure if we have any of those products we already know their DMS, we know their CRM, we know their scheduler, those are just, tech stacks that we keep up with because we need to know. So we're usually pretty good about making sure we know what we're getting into before we get into a nightmare.
Good. Well, I know we could probably talk about another hour, but this thing's supposed to be around 10 minutes long. I'm going to be putting your
within it?
No. But we're going to put your information on there throughout the video so people know who to call or who to email and your website and things like that. And I want to thank you for being on here, and I'll see you soon, Don Pelham.
Thanks for having us, Eddie.
All righty. Thanks for being on Automotive Vendor Spotlight.
All right.